Yeah, so what I'm going to do is build a cart for a piece of equipment that I haven't got yet, but it'll get here in about 5 days. And these wheels came from Harbor Freight. And all I can do right now is make the caster brackets, because it takes quite a while to tap all the holes in this. There's 16 holes I got to do. Yeah, I got 2 of the caster brackets made. Yeah, I'm working on the 3rd caster bracket right now. And I always like to lubricate my tap before I stick it in the hole. Yeah, with just 2 holes left to go, I broke the tap. Yeah, I figured that was going to happen because I tapped 16 holes first and some 5/8 plate with it. And I've done about 14 and a half on this. But this tap extractor set worked good. It says Walton tap extractors. And it took that piece right out of there. Yeah, I got all 4 of the brackets made up. Yeah, I just got this Scotchman 350 cold saw. I bought it from a company called Trick Tools for $6,195 plus the shipping charge. And this one's 220 volts single phase, and it draws 13 amps, so just a 20 amp plug needs to be put on it. Originally I was going to buy a Dake cold saw, but the one they have that's this size was only 3-phase. And I'm trying to stay away from 3-phase as much as possible. And I've still got to put the handles on it and the blade on it. It comes with a 160 tooth blade, and that's best for 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch. And they also make a whole bunch of other blades for it, and it comes with a gallon of the coolant. And it looks like all the metal chips go in this drawer here, so it's easy to clean this out. And they also make roller stands that go on both sides of it. If I had a lot of room, that's what I would do. But since I don't, I need to be able to move this around when I put a 20-foot piece of metal on it. I'm going to build a cart that goes underneath it. Yeah, and this is the kind of plug you'd put on it. It's just a 220 volt, 20 amp plug. Yeah, I got the handles on it. The batteries died in my video camera, so I'm not sure exactly where I'm at. I'm having to redo this part of this video. And here's the owner's manual. You print this off online, and it's so many pages, even a high capacity stapler, I had to do it in 2 parts. And with this coolant, it says to mix it 7 gallons of water with it. And what the cord they came with is 12/4, and it's just too big in diameter to get it into one of these 20 amp plugs. So I'm going to replace that with 10/3, and it's smaller in diameter. And also, if you're going to have it over 10 feet, it says to use 10 gauge wire. So I'm going to make an extension cord out of the rest of this. Yeah, and this thing has a 3 horsepower motor on it, and it says what the cutting capacities are here, if you can read that. It's like 4 inches, some ways it's 4.5 and 5 inches. And it also does 45s both directions. The small ones don't do that. Yeah, and if you cut a lot of metal, that's the best way to go. Yeah, and that's the first chop saw I've ever bought, and that's one with an abrasive blade on it. And those don't work very good. When you cut 45s, the blade like wanders around and you have a big gap to weld up. And this is the second one that I bought. And this one has a carbide blade, but the vise on here is junk, and it still doesn't, when you do 45s, it doesn't work perfect. And it leaves metal chips everywhere. that went through that much faster. Yeah, it also does the 45s absolutely perfect. Everything fits up real nice. Yeah, I used the rest of that wire made up extension cord. Yeah, it's only about 12 feet. Yeah, and another really nice thing about this is the vise. When you move it, it moves both sides of the vise. So the piece you're cutting is always in the center of the blade. So with this saw, with just a 12.5-inch blade, it has a bigger capacity than the DeWalt with a 14-inch blade. Yeah, so now I'm going to start building the cart for it. And the easiest way I could figure out how to figure out what the dimensions are on the bottom was just to trace around it on the concrete, if you can even see that, and then move the thing, and then I can measure this out. Yeah, and this is the roller stand I built in a previous video. And what I'm probably going to do is just go buy some cheap roller stand to stick out on the other end for the pieces that I'm cutting off. Because it's still going to sit a little lower than the welding table, so I can't just roll it up by that and have the pieces drop off onto it. Yeah, so I got part of the frame all cut out and tack welded together. I'm going to have to grind a groove in these areas so I can grind all this flat when I'm done welding it. Yeah, so I got this part all welded together. So now I'm going to cut out a piece of 1/4-inch plate and put on top of here, and then I'll drill the holes where that saw goes before I do the part with the wheels. Yeah, so now I got the 1/4-inch plate welded on here. This is the bottom side. So now I'm ready to put the saw on there and mark where the holes are going to be. And when I got something like this where I have no place to put the ground clamp, I took one of these magnetic clamps and made this piece of metal on it where you can clamp the ground to it. I've showed this in some of my other videos. Yeah, so I got it on there and marked the holes. Now I'm going to drill it with a mag drill. And that's the same way I did the cart on the lathe, which that video will be out shortly after this one. And this thing's only going to sit about 1 inch off the ground. Next I'm going to make after I drill the holes, I'll make the pieces that come off of the wheels. Yeah, so the reason I put the regular drill chuck on the mag drill, and I'm going to drill a real small hole all the way through, is I have to use a hole saw on the other side to make the hole big enough where I can get the socket in there. And on this side, after this, I'll use the regular annular cutters and cut the hole through this side. Yeah, I got all the holes drilled. This is the bottom side. And I drilled 1 1/8" holes. That's the perfect size so a 3/4-inch socket will go in there. And on the other side, it's got 1/2-inch holes. Yeah, this thing's getting real heavy. I'm not going to turn it over right now. Yeah, so now I'm making the pieces where the wheels are going to go. Originally, I was not going to weld that on there on the corner like that. I was going to come off and then an angle and up. I tried cutting it out of 2x4s, so it's going to be very difficult to get the angles all exactly right. So I decided to do it this way instead. Okay, so now I have all these brackets on here for the wheels. And the reason I have them out here in this angle like that is so that when you're standing in front of it using it, there's more room and the wheels aren't right in the way. And it also makes it more stable like this. Yeah, so next what I'm going to do is weld a piece of 2-inch square tube across here. And the reason for that is so I can jack it up to get a socket and a ratchet in to get these bolts in. And also if I don't want it to roll around, I can stick a piece of 1 1/8" plywood under here. This is only going to sit 1 inch off the ground. Then it's real easy for me to jack it up anytime I want. Yeah, I just got those other two pieces welded in there. Yeah, it's gotten so heavy, that's why I put it down on the ground. I didn't want to have to get out the engine hoist to lift this. Yeah, so I got all the caster brackets welded on there. And the reason for this little piece here is it has an Allen wrench that takes the blade off and does some other things, and I can just keep it there. Yeah, so now I just need to paint this. Yeah, and after cutting all this metal, there's not hardly any metal chips. Yeah, if I was to do that with that DeWalt, there would be piles I'd have to sweep up. So now I'm gonna take this thing outside and paint it. Yeah, so now I'm gonna wipe the whole thing down with a paint thinner. first. And then what I always used to paint everything with is this paint from O'Reilly Auto Parts. It seems to work pretty good. Yeah, I got it all painted. And I also cut out 2 pieces of 1/8" plywood to stick under it, because these casters don't have brakes on it. So if I ever get it where I don't want it to roll around, I can do that. Yeah, I got it all done. And now it's much easier to move this around. Still is pretty heavy. And here's that place with the Allen wrenches on there.